Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about refining your edge and having continuous improvement in trading, because in trading it's a continuous process that you need to continuously refine your edge and get better and make sure you're staying on top of the markets and your mindset. So today I'm going to look at the past NASDAQ week and see if I can change my trading style a little bit and seeing what those results will be, because it's been about 2 or so trading weeks in the year and it hasn't been the best trading weeks for me. So I'm going to see if I can change something up in my trading style and my strategy and see if I can generate me more profits for this upcoming week potentially. So I'm just going to backtest this previous week and see if I like what I'm seeing with a change style a little bit, or just a one tweak scenario. And if it looks good, then I will go back and backtest further weeks to get more data. But if it doesn't look good, then I'll probably just try a different scenario out. And I'm also going to check it later and just check my trading drill and compare it with my trades from last week, as well as just going back and backtesting the last week entirely with my journal and just seeing with a pair of fresh eyes if I'm seeing the sentence I saw last week and if it was just a messed up week for me on my end, or if I need to change what I'm doing completely. So with that, I'll probably make a different video later showing the fresh pair of eyes being back tested with the same way I currently trade, and then on this video will be one where I tweak my strategy just a little bit and showing you guys how I test a different scenario and how I'll go back and compare in the coming weeks. So with that, let's get started. So I'm using TradingView and I have the upgraded plan. I'm going to use the replay bar to go back to this Monday. And I probably won't get too much into the technical analysis a little bit, but I'm just going to go through and try to mark up everything and do a different strategy. So with my current strategy now, I do trade both pro trend and counter trend moves based on the 15-minute time frame and the 1-minute time frame for entry. But now I'm going to currently look at if I can just do pro trend moves only based on the 15-minute and daily, and just see if I can do those moves and see if it gives me a little more profitability or if it's going to help out. I'm assuming it's going to be a lot less trades because it's only doing pro trend moves, and I do pro and counter for now. But it's not really about quantity all the time, it's always about quality of trades. So if it can generate me more percentage or a better win percentage and more profit, then I think that's worth taking a shot at. But it should be probably a lot less trades. So what I might have to do is test 2 different scenarios at once, basically. So if I'm looking like how I currently trade, which is just the morning New York session, if it's looking like that isn't working for at least for pro trend moves and how I trade now, then I might have to also try to include and test, do I want to try incorporating the PM session for New York session as well too in that, and see if it helps generate more results or more setups. So with that, let's get started. Just take out the daily time frame here just for reference. See, it looks like there's a little bit of a downtrend forming, especially with this little low here. And the 15-minute, I like to mark up my structure. Looking at the highs and lows of the day is easier to identify for me. And I go basically from midnight to midnight just to be able to see. This is Friday over the weekend, so I just go to Sunday midnight. Yeah, basically, based off this, I'm already seeing it's in a downtrend because you can see prices pushing down below this. It looks like it has multiple bearish days here, so I could just mark this up and see what you see. Thursday's a consolidation day. I think Thursday was actually closed. Was it this the day of remembrance? Yeah, it might have just been closed that day. So just consolidated that day, and then Wednesday and Tuesday just pushing down. So you can see it's an obvious downtrend. And then it closed down below this last day, so it's in a downtrend. So I'm going to be looking for sales whenever my entry time frames come up. So let's see. And here, this could be a little bit of a forced entry here. Let me see. Let's try it in the 2-minute and see if it's any different. Yeah, this will be a difficult one. So this is not the cleanest move, but it's looking like it could be a little bit of a forced entry based off of this. Just have to have, I guess, a little bit of patience and a little bit of trust that it's the right move. It's a little wonky, but it still looks like it could be technically valid for the way I trade. So yeah, I'll count that. I mean, it's not the best trade. It's not. It's possible I could have just missed that just because of how, or not so just because of how it's presenting itself. But it looks like it is valid trade. So yeah, let's go to the next time. I'll probably be trading. Still looking for sells only just because it's in a sell or in a downtrend for now. So just looking for sells and just going with the trend at least in the 15-minute time frame and seeing if I would see anything. Just how I trade this way, this would probably be a valid loss. I'm not sure if there was news in this macro or anything. Let's see. I don't think it was too much news this previous week, so I think we're fine with news there. I think it's just a valid loss. Yeah, so it's just a valid loss. And I put just basically vertical markers on the trades because I like to go back at the end of the weeks and just count them up like that. I think it's a little faster to do, so you don't get like stopped in your process when you're trying to track your wins and losses. So I'll go back once I get to Friday and finish that day, and then I'll go back and count the wins and losses like that. It's easy to track your win percentage. Now, since because I have each trade average around 2 to like 2.5% for each win, it's easy to count the profit too. So that's a benefit for my strategy at least. But I would recommend always trying to go back and see the actual profitability part, just to see if it makes sense with your win percentage. If your win percentage is low, you need your risk reward to be a certain amount. So I'd recommend going back and counting those if you could. The valid loss there, and then this time frame, this would be a little bit of a force. This isn't the cleanest setup either, so I guess this wasn't a very clean day. It's looking like this could be an entry here. I don't know if it went through or not, but let's see. Yeah, this is a very unclean setup, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, that one ended up going through. So for now, it's looking like it could, if when it's pro trend, it looks like it could be fine to just keep trading morning session for me. Did get 3 trades, so that's one thing. But I don't know if I'm gonna do this video or not. I do want to see if it's starting to limit the trades in the morning session. I want to go through and check the New York session, PM session, and see if it gives more trades or if it's better to trade that way when you're going with trend. So that's it for that day. I think I'm gonna do for now. So just look at morning for this scenario testing. Go to the next day. Let's see. So it's news. I think it's 8:30 news. So yeah, not worried about that too much. And I like to mark up the trend. So the low of the day is looking like it was a little bit of a higher day, but I'm not counting on an uptrend yet until I see 2 consecutive days of the market going up. So let's see. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a retracement, but not too much, just pushing back up a little bit. But I believe there was a sweep of liquidity on the daily time frame here in this area, so it makes sense. I think I talked about that in my last weekly preparation video. I wanted price to sweep below this level right here, and it did push down on that Monday and do it. So let's see if it pushes back up or not, and let's see how it reacts. So for now, I still would want to look for sells because I don't count a day or into switching trend buys till I see 2 days of the opposite trend like going like that. So I need another bullish day before I say I can look for buys now, because this could easily just be a retracement up into some liquidity here or imbalance here, and then it could push back down. So that's my logic doing that. I forgot to mark it up, but yeah, I also look for sweeps of liquidity before I go do that. Or at least in the 15-minute, I look for sweeps of liquidity. Then I go in the 1 minute, look for my trade. So yeah, I've seen there was sweeps of liquidity on this one as well, but I forgot to mark it up. I just saw it with my eyes. So yeah, swept lending session liquidity here. It's looking like this could be an entry here. Well, not yet, maybe like this. Here I could make this a shorter entry, but could be more cautious with it and probably cover this high here, but you could also probably could do this. So we'll see what it's going to give with the bigger take profit or stop loss, I would say. And it's okay if it's a losing day, because that could just mean that it's just switching bias or trend. So if it's a losing day, then that just means we're going to look for bias on the next day because it's going through an uptrend. Look, that's a valid loss then. I'm going to see if it would have went through with the small take profit. Just some things to consider. Or smaller stop loss, excuse me. Yeah, so I guess it did go through. So that's just part of it. You got to have a feel sometimes and just use your best discretion. Because if I would have just covered this low, which it is valid, it's just like sometimes you want to have a little more room and be cautious with it. Looks like it could have went through. Actually, no, it hit stop loss first, so looks like it's just a valid loss. Either way, so it would have lost. So it's a valid setup, just valid loss. Just move on to the next trade. I'm seeing another entry here. And the good thing with the 1 minute is it's always only a next trade setup, like forming very soon. So you just have to kind of just be focused and not be stuck in a loss too long. You just got to move on and just go to the next one with a clear head so you can make sure you're not missing the next opportunity. Because let's see if this one goes through, but this could literally be the next win that you, and if you just stay stuck in that, it literally forms, 20 or so minutes later, 30 minutes later, and you miss it. So let's see. So that one went through. It is a little nerve wracking when you see it go near your take profit and then go back up into either drawdown or your entry level. But that's okay. You just got to have a lot of trust in your strategy and in your system. So this is the part where backtesting comes in. So you've seen those different examples of it going like this, where it goes down into profit and then back to your entry or in stop loss or near stop loss and then shoots back down to your profit. So you just have to have that trust and confidence in your system and in your strategy and in your win percentage, and just hold the trade. I feel like you should always hold the trade, and let it either hit stop loss or take profit. I don't think you should ever close a trade early, because if you would have closed it early because you saw it reversing back like up here, you'd have missed out on all this extra percentage for no reason. And especially in the 1 minute, because this is like you could have held for like 30 more minutes and it would have went through. So yeah, I always recommend just letting it either hit take profit or stop loss, unless you have specific scaling out rules, like you want to scale out at 1% or 1R or at halfway through, then that's fine. I would recommend that. But if you don't have those specific rules that you do every single trade, then I just wouldn't recommend doing it. So now looking at the next trade, at least trade opportunity, I'm seeing something here. And I could cover this high and make it a shorter stop loss zone for easier target and easier risk to reward it. But I'll just cover the high and be more cautious, the larger high or higher high, and be more cautious and see what happens. It looks like that went through. So yeah, and also just want to recommend again. I said this in a previous video. Just be cautious with this here because this might have went through and hit take profit exactly in this broker, but it's very possible that it was a little bit shy in a different broker depending on what you're analyzing and trading on. So this is Pepperstone, so it could have been a different broker. It might have been a little bit short, or it might have went through longer. So just be cautious with that. Check multiple brokers whenever you're trading and analyzing. So just a little food for thought there. So this trade went through. Looks like it was a successful day. 2 wins, 1 loss. And it's not looking that bad just trading with just the trend as opposed to looking for counter trend. It's a lot simpler and straightforward because I'm looking for only one type of setup. I don't have to question what I'm looking for. So that's that day. Let's see how the day finished out and see if it's switching to an uptrend or not, because this could just be a switching to an uptrend where it pulled back and then grabbed some liquidity or some type of imbalance was filled and it pushes back up to end of the day. So let's see what happens. So this is a little tricky because I did want it to push down more and see if it was going to take out potentially this day and go for a low or push up a little higher, but it's a little weird since it split this liquidity and then push down for the day. So we'll see what happens with this day, with this news at least. See if it gives us a more clear signal. So yeah, now it pushes up. So basically you want to look for the buy, probably an uptrend now here because of what price is doing here. And now it's finished with the last 2 days and looking a little bullish now. So I would say it's a little tricky because I still wanted to see at least 2 full days of being bullish momentum. I wouldn't count this as a bullish momentum day just because it's still finished lower than this previous day and it was in an overall uptrend. So this is just like a low and then a retracement. And then this will be the potential switching of structure here or trend here. So we'll see what happens on this day. So it's 8:30 needs to push up above. I think we should look for, I would say probably look for sells, but I'll look for the buy scenarios here too, just to see if it's a valid switch of trend now because it's broke the last 2 day structure and continuing going up. And I'm not seeing many sweeps of liquidity, just like larger or further back, larger ranges of sweeps because it's a giant wick here or a giant news candle here. I'm not seeing anything from London session. Let me see, being swept. Yeah, except for maybe this, but this is very minor. It's like pre-London, so I don't really want to count that. If anything, we're seeing just larger liquidity being swept here, at least for buy side. So it's probably could look for sales if you want to say, okay, it's not fully a closed day, because it's very possible that this wick could be a wick up from the news and the rest of the day just drops down and finishes below this day. So probably just try to look for the sales here and probably mark with the buy to see what it's looking like. But let's see. And that's how I currently trade. Like I would probably look for either sells or buys here, just based on whatever the market does. Because it's easy that we can find like some type of retracement here and then push down to fill this area here. So it's easy to look for a sell, but it's also to say, okay, I can look for a buy, continuation buy, because it's already pushing up and it's all this momentum. So maybe you could just find an easy buy and continue up. So that's how I'm trading now. But for now, let's look for the sells and then see if this is more beneficial for looking for sells than buys. So based off of this, I am seeing an entry already on this first time frame I would trade. I'll just let it see go through. Yeah, so that's a valid loss. It does suck that it got near and then reversed, but yeah, I would say it's a valid loss. Now I can check to see if there'd be any buys I would be doing. Let's see. I'm not seeing any buys for this time frame at least, so I think it's just a valid loss. And of course, this could be the day that it's fully switched trend, so it just comes with that. Sometimes you have to have a losing day and then just go back for the next day with a clean head. If anything, I'm seeing a buy there, but I want to look for the sells, or at least let sells play out first, and then go back and market the buys if that's what's price is giving. Let's see a sell here potentially. Yeah, so that was a valid sell, it went through. So yeah, I think these are two valid trades. I think one just lost, one won. But it's looking like this day will be the day that it confirms it's switching to an uptrend based on how it's going to finish today. But let's see, it's got a few more hours to play out. So that'd be it for me for the day. It's all New York AM session for me. I don't think I see a trade. I see a buy here potentially, but I was only looking for sells because it's still in a sell trend. But if I wanted to market the buy, it'd be a buy entry probably on the right. Possibly one there, but I'd probably wait to take this buy here into like here, and that would have been a loss. So let me see. Yeah, easy, would have been a loss. So yeah, I think it's valid to look for the sells there. So I'm moving forward. So I'm gonna make sure I do it for sure. Just making sure I get two opposite days of those trends. Like this wouldn't count as an up day. This just count as a lower low still. So I would need to see this day go as a bullish day to switch to say it's an uptrend. I need this day bullish, and then the next day as well to be bullish. So I'll let it play out and see where price finish for the day. And it looks like it's going higher. So it's looking like for Thursday it'll just be a day to look for buys only. Yeah, so confirmed uptrend. And then that, and we also just didn't really get any sweeps with sell side liquidity here when I'm looking for those sells. I only saw buy side liquidity sweeps with like this, all this being swept here, and even I guess some of this liquidity over here being swept. So yeah, and even this part here. So it was really a little more difficult to look for the buys there and have a little more logic with it because it has all this imbalances to fill too as well. So it was just, yeah, it made sense to look for sells there. It's overall a downtrend until this day is formed for me. Check that daily real quick to see what it's doing. So yeah, it did react to this liquidity sweep here and bounced up, which I kind of said or explained why in my previous videos. I was preparing for the week. So in the 15 minutes, go to the Thursday, look for buys only. So far, I think this, yeah, only liquidity sweep so far. We just sell side liquidity being swept. Get to 8:30 news. See more liquidity being swept here. It's one piece of buy side liquidity swept, but we're only looking for buys because it's in an uptrend now in my eyes. And yeah, I'll actually zoom out and go to the 30-minute and just see why it's looking in an uptrend. So yeah, it's in an uptrend, easy to identify and see. And sometimes you might get stuck on a time frame. You might just go up one time frame and let it be easier for your eyes to see and see all the candles really consolidated into what that lower time frame is forming. So yeah, it's easy to see we're in a clear uptrend. So yeah, we'll look for buys today and see what happens. So we get sell side liquidity sweeps here as well in there, and then minor buy side liquidity sweep, but looking for buys only, so that doesn't really matter. And based on how I trade, I'm seeing an entry here. So sometimes in the 1 minute, there's a lot of possible ways to take your entries, and it's right there. So I'm seeing multiple setups. I'll mark those up too. So and we'll just see what goes through. If the smaller one or smaller range one goes through, then that's better. If the large one goes through, then we'll see So let's see. I'm looking at possibly this setup as well based off the news, forming this little accumulation here. Then sweeping in, it would break here. So you'd have your entry there. So this is the large one. This probably looks better on the 2 or 3 minute time frame. So let's see if I can pull that up here. This is the 3 minute. And this is the 2 minute. It looks a little cleaner on the 2 minute, I'd say. Entry would be like right there, but 1 minute, I think entry would still be right there for the larger zone trade. And this is the smaller zone trade here. And stop, take profit would be there. Entry would be right there. Move this accumulation back some. So it's clear to see, and it broke that. Yeah, so the smaller one already went through, which is why I prefer doing like inside trades for mine, like inside accumulation zones for mine. So because it's already went through, it's smaller risk to reward here, and it's already hit take profit. So this large one still has to go through, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, that would have been a loss if I would have took this larger one, but I personally normally take the smaller ones just because I think it's, you know, it's a lot faster, it goes through, and it's looking like it's oftentimes more profitable because it goes through more often than I think the larger ones do. It has less space to travel, less area to travel, so it hits take profit a lot faster, and it's usually more legit to me. So that would be just the win, but just marking that up for the larger ones for just for the sake of it, and just seeing why I remind myself once again why I do the smaller zone trades. So look for buys here again. I'm really seeing an opportunity there. See in the 2 minute if it looks any different. 3 minute. Yeah, it's all just a lot of wicks, a lot of ranging. So I'm not really seeing an opportunity here. It didn't really present any models I'm looking for. So I'll go to the next time frame I can trade. I'm seeing an entry here. And trading on this time frame, it is very active, so you just have to be very aware and just very ready and cautious and prepared to trade. So yeah, you have to be very attentive because it happens very fast and back to back. So yeah, I'm seeing this trade happens very fast, but you have to be prepared at those times to trade. And it's on the morning session, so be very dialed in for about 3 or so hours, 2 to 3 hours, I would say. Let's see if this goes through. So yeah, that one went through. So I marked that. So that was a pretty successful day, just looking for 2 buys and got 2 wins here. And go to the next day, I'll mark that up. It looks like it's still going to stay in an uptrend because it finished. Looks like it's going to finish higher than this day at least. It's a lot to travel down, so we'll see what happens. I usually go from the high or low of the day to the midnight of that day just to mark it up and see with my eyes easier. And so yeah, you can easily see it still finished above this day or went above this day and didn't go down at all below it. And even if it did go down, so like I said, I need those 2 continuous days of being down days where they go lower than each day before I say it switches trend. So now Friday we're looking for buys here. Let's see. I'm seeing a little bit of liquidity being swept here. Yeah, I won't count this. Let's say this is being swept here, and then it pushes up. And it is buy side liquidity swept here as well in these areas, but still only looking for buys, so not really too concerned about that, and it's still in an uptrend, so not worried about that really. It was news, it just went at 8:30, so I'll go back some. I'm probably trying to look for a continuation move here. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that's just no trade available there based on how I'm trading. So you still see it's a very valid uptrend. Probably gave some move during here or some move during London session maybe. But yeah, it's probably some move down there you probably could have caught during London session. But yeah, it's just pushing up now. But I'm only trading the New York morning session for now. At least that's all I'm testing in this scenario as well too. So yeah, just no trade there available. Looking to the next time frame I would trade. Looks like there'd be some entry here. Okay, and that would have just been a valid loss there. And one thing I did look at is I could also could possibly see another buy being played out here, but I'm probably just try to limit myself moving forward just to one trade per, let's just say macro or time frame, or just I'm trying to limit myself to less trades per day, just put less capital at risk. So probably just had to take this loss and just move on to the next time frame to trade for me in the next hour or so. So there, I would probably just take that loss and move on to the next idea, see if anything else presents. So this is a new idea here. And let's see if this one goes through. Looks like it's a very small zone or entry, which could be good because that's less to travel and it looks like it could be more beneficial and go through quicker. So yeah, that one hit take profit. So maybe hold it like that. Yeah, it's still valid trade. So that's just a valid buy, valid win, and that one's a valid loss. So that'd be it for the day and for the week actually too, because I wouldn't really trade this around news time frame, or not news, lunch time frame. I usually just end my trading day there. So that's mostly that. I'll go back and count up the wins and losses for the day. As you can see, it's still in an uptrend. Probably gonna finish out in the uptrend here, or not finish out the uptrend, but the day is over. It's still gonna end up in an uptrend up there, and not push down. A little easier to see, and you can see yeah, it's still an uptrend. I'll go through and count my wins and losses. I usually just count the wins first. We have 2 wins on Mondays, 2 on Tuesdays. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins. And I have the scenario written down. You want to make sure you're tracking what scenario you're testing, basically. So I'll write it down here. I'm just trading pro trend with my same current setup, so I know what I'm, or same strategy, so I know what I'm trading and how I'm trading. Trading pro trend for this week, I'll put, so 113, I think it's 113, yeah, 113 through, and I'm doing this because when I go through or go back further and back test, because I think this is probably going to be a decent result, I'm going to want to know how did I do in the previous week. So this looks like it was a solid week because there's a lot of movement and going down and switching trend and being very trendy. But there is going to be those weeks where it's just ranging a lot and consolidating a lot, and on the 15 minute at least, and it's going to go on like this basically. Let me see if I can draw it out. It'll literally be looking like this one of these weeks. And I think it's going to go switch up to a trend. It's going to go back down and just go like this. It'll happen one of these weeks, so that's okay. But yeah, look, for now it looks like it's a beneficial way to approach my system now, or trades now. So we'll see. I'll count the losses now. So I got 1 loss. I got there 2 losses, 3. So 4 losses. So it would have been 8 wins and 4 losses. So it's about a 75 win percentage, 75% win percentage. And yeah, I could easily go through and count up the profit, but I'm sure. I mean, I know it's profitable just because I go for at least 2% for each win. So if you just count that up, you just do quick math. Say we'll limit it to 2% here, even though it's usually a little more, like 2.3, 2.2%. I believe 2.21 was my average risk to reward for my trades of December. So you could easily just say like, okay, let's times it out and see the profit here, but I'll just round it down to 2%. So let's say if I gained 2% each win and lost 1% each loss, I would have gained 16% off the wins, and subtract that 4% from the losses. So I would have had plus 12% on the week, just risking 1%. So yeah, that's one way of going through how I would usually go through when I'm trying to refine my strategy and edge of how I trade. So you always want to just make sure you're brainstorming different scenarios, or at least reviewing your week. If you're not pleased with your week or multiple weeks or month of how you were trading, you just want to go through and brainstorm different ideas, review your journal a lot, and see where you're going wrong, what's working for you. Compare your wins and see what do they have in common. Compare your losses, see what they have in common, and then go and brainstorm. Okay, maybe I can try something else different here, or try this approach here. What's working in common with my wins, or to make a rule to avoid what's causing your losses. Maybe it's a time you're trading that's causing your losses, or maybe it's how you're trading or trading against the trend, or maybe it's just a confluence you're missing in the losses that you could probably use or implement to avoid those losses and make more wins. So I would say, yeah, that's my process of going through. I saw that it looked like a lot of pro trend trades for me were going through, and it looked like some of the counter trend trades were not going through for me, or at least causing more losses than they should. So now I just wanted to go through and trade just going with the trend, and it's looking like it's going to be more profitable for me. So I had to go back and test that at least the last 2 weeks before this week, so probably like the end of December and maybe the first 2 weeks trading weeks of this week, to see what it looks like as well in those market conditions and those time frames. But we'll see. I don't think I might not make a video of that. I'm going to end the video here. But I just wanted to show you guys the process of how it's continuously improving and how I brainstormed this idea, just basically reviewing my journal and looking at my actual trading weeks for the last 2 weeks. So I'm just brainstorming a new idea, tested it out, went through the process of the whole trading process, just went through one different scenario I tested. And if I don't like this one, if I trade it with this current week, then I'll just think of another process, brainstorm it, and then test it out, see if it's better than at least this. Because looking back at my trading journal, which I have to compare in depth a little more, it looks like this is better, because I know I didn't have 8 wins last week, and it looks like this will be better. And it's also just, to me, I think it was more clear going through and approaching it, just looking for one bias clear, and just not trying to force a different bias or trying to catch both sides of the market with looking at sells and buys at the same time. So yeah, I think I might have this approach moving forward for this week at least, and I'm sure I'll drop another video preparing for the actual trading week. Well, I'll go back and basically trade or back to this whole thing again, and just back to with a clear mind and trading how I currently trade now. So I look for both buys and sells, and that won't be just because it's pro trend. So I'll go back and compare it again and see what I get this time with a fresh pair of eyes. Then I'll compare both of these with my journal and look at both the win percentages, and then I'll see what comes out on top. It's looking like this probably comes on top. This is a really solid week with 8 wins and 75% win ratio. So we'll see what happens. I'll probably make a separate video when I go back and test it again on the other week. Probably a little more silent video. It'll just be literally preparing for the week, looking at news, reviewing my journal, looking at my affirmations, things like that. So like and subscribe for more videos. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. I'll see you guys in the next video.